always to have a hunger for you. And Father, let us see souls saved for your kingdom. And Father, people discipled, equipped, Father. But we love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. And so they made arrangements at this restaurant. We ate there half a dozen times. And you'll see another restaurant momentarily. That's where we stayed. It's our hostel. It was built in 1930. It's somewhat unassuming until you go inside. But
I just want y'all to know that I had to stretch these pictures, so we look about 25 pounds heavier than what we really are.
I don't think she's, never mind.
Saw that right, yeah.
This is outreach. This is where you go up the roads, just going to witness. And we have assignments of where to go.
We're at a house, and we're talking to this lady there
This lady on the right, her son was led to the Lord last year. We talked to him. He died between last year and this year.
Yeah.
And so that was an amazing story to find out. He was by mistake at a location, and we presented the gospel, and he accepted Christ. And then you find out.
The woman in the blue shorts accepted Christ. Go ahead, sorry.
You're welcome to ask questions as these are rolling.
The first picture where the lady's son had died, she had gotten saved the day before, and then the other lady, we led her to Christ that day.
The lady beside me on the right is in Santeria, and
her name's Norma.
Her name is Norma.
The two boys in the background inside and the little boy in the blue shorts accepted Christ. So 3 right there.
We're in a house there. Who are we talking to? I can't remember. That's Freddie beside me in the hat.
These pictures are so distorted, I can't tell who's what.
Well, I couldn't help it if you're going to see it.
This is the last home we visited, and it is behind the seminary. And they were working hard that day.
Me and Sandy's having fun.
That's the second restaurant.
Oh, swanky. Nice. Has a pool.
They fed us very well at these restaurants. And, it was just an amazing amount of food, and a plate of food costs $5. That's what we're paying. But the perspective is some people only make $35 for the whole month. And we're paying $5 for a plate of lunch or supper. And
that's some of the food we had the first night we were at this restaurant. It was just...
Even though we didn't know what we were eating.
That's the wild picture, and he stretched pretty funny there.
That is the woman that that the Lord worked a miracle with oil and the pots. Sandy,
this is the
tell
Bible
what you did.
Story we're acting out.
That's about the Shulamite son. Yeah. Lena, tell them what you did.
That's the story about where the pot of stew had poison in it, and he said, "Man of God, there's poison in the pot," and he threw flour in.
We don't know what that is.
Me neither.
That's
I got harassed the whole week.
We're acting out Naaman, where he had to go and dip in the Jordan 7 times, and Brad's Naaman, and he had like leprosy all over his arms. We had dots, big red dots, and right here is where he's healed. We were talking about Elisha, and that's crafts at Freddie's church with one group of kids, the older kids. We're outside, it's hot.
They were making crosses, and we had to fill little cups of paint, and we had them all over, especially Sandy. It popped all over her.
Yeah, we had it everywhere. They're in recreation here. We'll see this next. No, that's not it yet. They're down in like a big gym. Could be the next. We divided them up. We did the Bible lesson all together, and then we divided the little ones and the bigger ones, and we had the bigger ones went to recreation, and the smaller ones went to crafts, and then we switched. And there was probably, there was a lot more kids there than even last year. I bet there was 160, because we had like 100 and, seems like 20 last year. Could have been 140. What are you doing, Graham? Yeah. Yeah, they were playing games. We took balls and they're playing games. That's where we did the crafts with the little ones to get them out of the sun. And
You have to be flexible because we had them in one place and the leaders moved them a totally different place, but
Yeah.
that was okay.
well, they had told us the night before that we could do it over there, and then, yeah, you had to be really flexible. Just go with the flow. That is, we're visiting. What are we doing up there? One of the forts. Yeah, one of the
That's
forts.
The Bay of Santiago.
Yeah, it's like a castle up there that's supposed to protect Santiago, but you can't protect all the city.
That's Pastor Osvaldo and his wife.
Her name is what? What?
Ilcia.
Elcia.
For those who were there last October, we painted this sanctuary. The paint is still on the walls looking good. It did not come off. All right, so we're a little worried about that.
Ilcia, the pastor's wife, she can burn it up on the piano like Teresa.
That's Gabriel's daughter. We asked her to lead the music because they did such a good job. In the back, you see the puppets. That's her sister. They brought that in. And we did the same story at Osvaldo's church as we did at Freddie's.
What are you doing, Glory?
I'm telling about 20
Yeah.
loaves of bread.
Yeah, 20 loaves of bread to feed 100 men.
Yep.
There's Gabriel, and he's trying to interpret what we're acting out. There's all of us. There's King Dennis, the king of Israel over there, and King Grayling of Syria. There's King Dennis. We took a few little things to dress up.
It's alias Moses.
Yeah. Oh, there you are, King of Syria.
That
to
that
Brad.
king's confused.
Brad was Naaman, so he's talking to, or Brad's talking to him. There's Brad.
See the
Still got my
dots on his
spots
arm?
there.
Yeah, can you see his leprosy? Yeah. We had it on his head at the first church. I don't know what I'm doing there.
He was praying, and
Where I
Birdie was
I
praying.
praying? Okay. Birdie was praying. And that's at Osvaldo's church. We're doing crafts with the little ones inside. Yeah, because I had to stretch them so far.
That's recreation.
Yeah.
The first day we got there on Friday, we did outreach, and then on Saturday we did a Bible school in the morning at Freddie's, and this is the afternoon at Osvaldo's.
There's a lot of kids
And-
there too.
They're probably, it's a 30-minute drive between churches.
I think it doubled on kids from last year to this year.
And Freddie's areas in the mountains, it's rural, they're right in the middle of hundreds of homes. And it's all small, dirt road, very poor.
That's the ones that got saved.
Those ones got saved in Bible school, yes. We only presented a salvation invitation to those who were probably 4th grade and up.
That's at our house. Is that breakfast? Yeah. We stayed like at a bed and breakfast. Very nice. And this is, we're getting ready to start the eye clinic at Freddie's.
Freddie's. We had people register in the sanctuary. Then there was a group moved to have the gospel presented. Then that group moved to go to their eyes to be checked there. Then they moved to get their glasses and a last track, and then they exited. We located these glasses through Evangelism Explosion, and they sent us 220 pair per case. They also sent a tester, which is the thing that they utilized. And it's amazing how people will turn out if you offer some basic medical.
That's our house.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
There was more power outages this year than we've ever experienced. Every day you went without power. Every day it was going to be out at some point somewhere.
And usually it was like at 7 o'clock in the morning when people are trying to do breakfast for their children, get their kids ready for school and all that. It was at a very inopportune time. There's where we're going to that big castle of Santiago thing.
Something El Rocca Ford, I think it's what's called.
This was on Tuesday.
In the morning.
Tuesday. Yes. Even Dennis's.
Yeah. Yeah, they checked his bag thoroughly.
And the dog circled him twice and came back.
When we stayed downtown, and so when we went to the
Wait, this is Lana and Roxanne's boyfriends.
They followed us
had
all the way back to the van playing music for us.
Because they gave them money, and
dollar,
they followed
a
them
dollar
everywhere.
each.
And Freddie does not like chicken.
No,
That's
he
Pastor
hates
Freddie.
chicken. So he had to give the chicken. This is the women's conference at Freddie's church, and all the ladies gave their testimonies, and then I spoke a little bit.
That's Gabriel's wife, ladies, interpreting. They have two daughters. The one you saw leading the music, the one doing the puppets is 15 years old, and she is an excellent interpreter. Amazing for 15 years old how fluent she is.
She learned from her mom and dad. They were speaking English one day, and she turned around and looked down, and she said, "I know what you're saying."
And they said the older girl's lazy. She don't want to learn.
Yeah, she
The one that sings so well, she don't interpret it.
Yeah, that's Freddie's church, the women's. We didn't get any pictures at the women's conference at the other church because it was right after Bible school, and it was late, and we have a story about this lady,
This
but
lady right there.
we'll tell it later. This was after the ladies' conference.
That church building actually belongs to the old folks' home. So they just allow Freddie's church to meet there. And they can cancel them at drop of a hat, different things like that. We're having devotions every morning. This is one of our devotion times. They started usually early, Eastern time, but so we lost an hour because we're on Central. Well, Shar and I are waking up 4:30 on Eastern time. Yeah. And but we typically, I think people were starting by 7, 8 o'clock. We had breakfast, then we left, and there's several nights we didn't get back till 8:30 at night. Long days, just very rewarding.
Is this when they're waiting to get in the eye clinic?
Yes.
Okay.
That's at Osvaldo's church. Osvaldo's church looks like a garage.
There they are.
But they're waiting right there to hear the gospel before they move forward. They're being registered at the back door. Those are the most uncomfortable pews you've ever sat on in your life.
Horrible.
And if that preacher could preach any longer, it would really help these ladies.
We were like in little cubby holes outside. They call them their Sunday school rooms. You see how that is? At Osvaldo's church doing the eye clinic.
It was about
He was
100,
hot.
about 100 degrees right then.
There wasn't much wind that day. And here's our men giving out the glasses after they get examined. We're so professional.
We're going to start an eye clinic.
Well, when this group started at Osvaldo's, it was like herding cats. I mean, it was chaos, and it took us about 45 minutes to get it straightened out. But
Because our pastor came in and said, no mas. That means
I know
no
two
more.
words, no more.
Stop.
Don't send anybody else
Stop.
out here.
We're
So,
going to rearrange. We were glad for that. They were like piled in there on us. We didn't have any air stirring anyways. There's Dennis, the optometrist.
And that's Pastor Alvaldo's wife right there.
See the white thing, that's why it had different strength of eyeglasses that we just moved up and down.
And Mayhor is better. And I kept forgetting it until I said my horses, and that kind of helped me remember Mayhor.
Mayhor.
That's better? Better?
Mayhor.
Better?
Mayhor. Yeah, I say that in my sleep.
for those of you who were there before, they had compacted some rock right out in front. They've concreted that as now.
Look at
Someone
Graham.
bought Osvaldo this car. He can't drive, but they bought him this car.
I couldn't get it home, Danny.
Yeah, that was the second group waiting to get in, I think.
When you turn off this road, you're on a paved road that's it's like a back street,
Oh, there's our pastor playing the drums.
and
He's hiding.
He
He's gonna
is a
join the
pro.
band.
holding out on us.
I will continue
He
to hold
was.
out on you.
He was playing them.
But you turn off a paved road, you turn up a dirt road, and all the dirt roads are potholes and terrible. Then you turn left down another dirt road. Then you turn left again down another. I mean, this church is out of the way so far, but it's surrounded by homes.
I'm a little taller than what that picture looks like. I had to pull it.
Stretched you out.
I just stretch it. That was the what?
That's-
Oh, that was a.
That's the
That's
last
second
fort we went
second
into.
fort we went to.
Viso, V-I-S-O fort.
Both
Ooh,
of these
it's so
places we
pretty.
went, it took us 10 minutes to get there.
They were going to keep Mark. Look
They're
at
going
him.
to keep me shackled up.
He's shackled.
We had about a 40-minute wait before our next whatever, and so they rode us up here. But they're on opposite ends of Santiago.
That's at Freddie's
that's
house.
Freddie's
right there.
house. We was squeezed in there.
And that's,
We going bye bye.
Lana never caught anything on fire. She was good as gold.
And I took lots of the pictures, but they fussed every time I said, let's take a picture, let's take a picture.
I got one picture.
That's sure praying for the person.
Cause he's searching me, and he's rubbing my wrists and my neck and trying to look for drugs, and he's on
They
my
know they're-
ankles, and he's.
All right, we're through the pictures. We're just let them roll, but we're not going to comment. Graylin, go ahead and start out.
I promise I'm not going to tell any stories about the trip because we got too many people here to tell the stories or different things. But what I do want to say to y'all, and I'm sure everybody will, but maybe I'll speak for the group. I want to thank you as a church for your prayers, your support. It's very important. Everybody can't get on the airplane at one time, and you got to have support there and here too. Personally, I've been fortunate, and I've been, if I counted right, 17 trips out of the USA. That's not near as many as some people here, but more than some. But, it tells us in Matthew, the Great Commission, that we are to go to all places to tell about Christ. It's the Great Commission. But I looked something up this afternoon, or this morning, I talked to Mark just a little bit, and I just thought I'd want to share it, definition of a mission trip. And there was a whole bunch of different stuff, but I just took a little summary, and I just want y'all to hear this as a church. As a group, we go as learners, we go as servants, and we go as storytellers. People want to know how we come to Christ and our testimonies when we're over there, doing our mission trip. We share what God is doing in our lives and how He's working in us and through us. We hope that when we get back home from a trip, we can inspire others to go and share. We want people who hear our stories to understand how impactful it is for us and to us personally while we're on the mission trips. What I do want y'all to do for me for a second, everybody that wears glasses to read or for anything else, any other reason, contacts, raise your hand. Okay. You need them, right? Imagine you don't have glasses or contacts at night or during the day and you want to read your Bible or read anything else. That's the people we met. Just imagine how joyful you would be to be able to see and read. In saying that, on my trips, I have been fortunate to do different things. But this probably was the most rewarding, personally, that I've ever seen with the eye clinic. But most of all, it was the most rewarding because of the salvations. As Mark said, either over there or somewhere when we was traveling, and I've always, I say this, we all say this, but we really planted seeds last year, and we got to see the harvest, this time from what we planted. So the most important thing that I personally got out of this was able to go. We done something new, an eye clinic, and we got to plant even more seeds, and we got to see the harvest. And I'm just glad to be able to come back and tell y'all that we had a little fun, but we had a lot of joy doing Christ's work. Thank you.
Well, it was a delight to get to go this time. We went last year, and like Graylin said, we did plant a lot of seeds, and we got to meet several of the people that we visited with last year. And the one lady, we called her Susie because we never could remember her Spanish name. But she was a new Christian last year, and then when we got there this year, she greeted us, and then she went out on visitation with us. We went to her father's home, and is that him right there? And he's lost, and he's still not ready to accept Christ. But she has been working with the children in the church now, and she is just overflowing with joy now. And the children, working with a large group of children is kind of difficult when you cannot speak Spanish, but it went well. And then, of course, we had the women's conference where each of us spoke some. Miss Shar did a wonderful job. In our vacation Bible school, we did tell the different Bible stories about Elijah, and Bertie was part of the vacation Bible school. But I have to say, I agree, the eye clinic, other than the 251 souls that were saved, the eye clinic was a blessing because we kind of take it for granted that, because we go to Dollar General store and buy several pairs of cheaters and have a pair in every room. And here, these little people would come in. They might be crying when they came into us because they had just accepted Jesus. And then when they realized that they could read again, they were crying for the second time, the men and the women. So it was a blessing.
I guess I was sitting here trying to think what I wanted to say, but you can look at the pictures up here, and they always say that pictures say 1,000 words, but they can't tell you all of the story. Until you've experienced a trip like this, experienced the Lord's power in these people's lives and how it's working in their lives, there's no way to explain it. The pictures, like I say, they're beautiful. They share a little joy. But it's like me telling you my salvation story and you telling me mine or yours. It's hard for us to understand what you felt in the workings of these people's life. In one of our devotions I read, the first verse that I read in it, it says that prayer is essential. And Jesus said, pray to the Lord of the harvest that you send out workers. That wasn't a suggestion. That was a command. As a church, that should be our deepest heart and our prayer, that we send out workers. And that those workers has the opportunity to experience what we experienced. To see lives come to Jesus, souls saved. One of the powerfulest things that I thought of when we was going back one night, Gabriel was using his hotspot on his phone that we could pull things up. And I think his brother Mark or Shar one had Facebook up. And it was Malcolm up here during the service. And he was leading the prayer from the church for us and the team and everybody down there involved in the mission trip. That's what it's all about. As a church, you may not be able to go down there, but you can pray. I didn't think much about it. It was just something so simple. But we went up on the hilltop and visited with the elderly man. I think he was maybe 83. And Pastor Freddie said, there's another man down here on the side of the road that I want to go to his house, but his wife's not home yet. Let's go up and see his father first, and then we'll come back and see his son. So we went up on top of the hill, and Brother Mark gave the what do you call it? Yeah, there you go. Plan of Salvation. Lost my train of thought. Plan of Salvation, and the gentleman accepted Christ, and I think that was our first visit. And we went down the hill, and we went to the gentleman's house, and he'd had I think maybe a motorcycle accident, and was injured, and the way it looked, maybe he was having trouble healing. I kind of maybe thinking by looking at his mother that we seen up there possibly had diabetes. But anyway, try to make the story a little shorter, was the gospel was given to this man and to his daughters, and they accepted Christ. The wife had been at work, and Pastor Freddie had been trying to get to where he could talk to her, and she'd always slipped around and went and done something else, not giving him much time. And while we was given the plan of salvation, she come home from work, and she went around the back of the house and come in the back door trying to stay away from us. And after the gentleman gave his life to the Lord and the daughters, we started out the gate and headed up the road. Brother Mark and Shar and was it Roxanne with us, or they started on up the road, and Gabriel was holding the gate for me, and I started out, and the gentleman come out behind us and sat down on the porch. And I said, "Just a minute, Gabriel, come back." And I felt the urge to pray for this gentleman. And I stopped and gave him a short testimony and prayed with him. And when I opened my eyes, the whole team that had went up the road already, out the gate, had turned around and come back. And they was in the house giving the plan of salvation to the wife as she gave her life to the Lord. And it just, the simple thing, that simple thing to me was so powerful that I took the initiative to listen, to stop and pray. As I said a minute ago, prayer is essential. And I thank the church for the supporting us and everything. That it's an experience until you step out in faith and experience for yourself. It's hard for us to explain. But it's a great joy. A joy to see 251 come to salvation. Dennis?
This thing, it's on. This hadn't made quite as many trips as my buddy Graylin there. Now, some of you might have heard earlier, come down the aisleway there, he called me a crybaby. Now, I have been known to cry on occasion, but don't let him fool you. We keep talking about this eyeglass clinic, and it sounds like such a simple thing. You know, a pair of readers for somebody. And Graylin and I were at the end of the line. We were the ones that handed out the glasses, and we were giving out tracts, and we would open a tract and let them read. And I can remember a couple. I can picture them in my mind right now, sitting in that chair. And of course, they're speaking in Spanish, reading through there, and it wasn't just crying. It was like they were weeping. You know what I'm talking about when I say weeping. It just really sticks with me. I can see it. I can picture it right now in my mind. You think about, sometimes I ask you about wow moments. Now I had an uh-oh moment, I guess you'd call it, but I'll tell a little short piece of that story. We'd already come through customs, and we were getting our luggage and stuff, and they talk about the dog. Pastor said, "Be careful, there's a dog running around your legs right there." And I didn't pay attention. I thought, what's the dog doing in here? It turns out it was a drug sniffing dog. So I got pulled out, and they put me in a side room, and they started digging through my bag. Well, if any of you know me, I take a lot of medicine and supplements. I had a big gallon freezer bag full of medicine. It looked like a drugstore. It looked like an illegal drugstore. Yeah. So the first thing they pull out is that she pulls that big old bag of pills out, and I thought, man, I'm done. And she just pitches it to the side. She wasn't worried about that. Asked me about what these boxes were. They were glasses. And they get to the bottom of the bag, and there's 7 or 8 bags of powdered milk. Well, her and her assistant looked at each other like, we have found the Holy Grail. So they tested it, of course, and they just sent me on back out. But, the day we evangelized, walking the hills, you look back at these pictures and you pick up, and your mind takes you back to those moments. But there's a moment that there's a picture in my mind. And I had one from last year. There was a lady we encountered last year, a younger lady, probably in her 20s. She looked so sad. She looked like she didn't have any hope. And a picture of her in my mind has never left. And now the little girl we call Susie, we went and seen her dad. Kind gentleman, the most honest non-believer I've ever met in my life. He didn't make any excuses for himself. He was honest about his sin and how he lived. And now his of all those people, his face is pictured in my mind. And it makes me think about what Dr. Mark talks about when he talks about lost, about praying that God burden you. Burden you. So now I've got those two pictures in my mind, and they won't go away. So to me, that's God saying, okay, a lot of people came to Christ, but there's a couple that didn't. And I want you to keep praying for them. It's a powerful moment for me. And I want to finish with this. I don't know if it's a challenge or if it's a question. Or when's the last time God spoke to you? And he said, I'm going to open this door. And you look in this door, and you know right away it's way too big for you to do by yourself. When's the last time you said, okay, God, I'm going to walk through that door? When's the last time you did that? When's the last time you walked through a door, walked into something you knew was too big for you to do by yourself? We can do a lot of stuff in our own strength and our own power. We can look like a Christian and do things in our own strength. But when's the last time you walked into something that you knew you couldn't do by yourself? That's what happened down there. We walked through a door. We're not that smart. We can't make this up. It was just amazing what God did in our presence, and he allowed us to be part of that. And so I guess my challenge is if God ever stirs you, or for Roxanne, she got poked in the ribs. You know, I sat down there when Pastor was talking about it last year and got back of my bald head. If God urges you, man, just look through that door and see what he's asking you to do. Don't walk away from it because you don't think you can do it. Because we can't do it, but he can do it. He can do it through us.
My turn. This is my third time going, and it's always so wonderful. They treat you so respectful. They treat you like kings and queens. And when we eat, they won't take any food until we get our food. And they're just the most respectful people and just want to do everything for us, keep us safe, and transportation, everything. And they're so hospitable. If we go to Osvaldo's church, they always give us coffee or a Coke or something to eat afterwards, even if it's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. They always want to make something, and they have nothing. But they give of what they have to us, which was so amazing. And then when we do the visitation, that's really an awesome thing because we get to go in people's homes, and they're small but they're clean, and they're so welcoming. And Brad was talking about the 83-year-old man, and Gabriel told us he accepted Christ that day, and Gabriel, or Freddie one, told us that he always had an excuse. He would never, ever say that he wanted to accept Christ that day, but that day he did. He prayed to receive Christ. And so we have the Bible school, and it's wonderful. The language barrier, we do have that, but somehow they seem to understand, and the parents are right there helping us. And Birdie was a big hit because they don't have things like this over there. And some of the little tiny babies were scared. And so I'd let Birdie whisper to me, and then I'd tell them what he was saying to me, and that kind of thing. And we would tell the story. So he was a big hit. So I brought him home so we can take him back next time too. So we had we saw 280 people at the Freddie's Eye Clinic, and we saw about 280 people at Oswald's Eye Clinic. And like they said, we only had 220 pairs of glasses, but they still wanted to be measured. They still wanted to be measured to see what their strength was and we wrote it down on a little piece of paper. Whether they could go buy it, we don't know. Or whether they're waiting on us. They may be waiting on us to come back next time with glasses too. But Pastor Freddie, he's very intelligent. He's very organized. And this was the neatest thing. He did not tell his congregation church that we were having a free glasses clinic. He did not tell them that. This is what he told them. You don't want to miss Monday. It's going to be very exciting. You need to bring your lost friends. When we got there, the whole road and the gate was full. That's all he told them. So that was very exciting for us. And the people were so grateful. This one little lady that Sandy and I were measuring, she came and she sat down. And before we could even measure her, she just started bawling. She was so happy to be able to see. And she was in her 70s. I just cannot imagine. She was just weeping and weeping. And I prayed over her, and she finally got her composure so that we could measure her and give her some eyeglasses. The women's conference I thought was really good. The ladies did a great job giving their testimonies, and then let me back up on one of the visitations. Our very first house that we went to, it was a lady, and she had told us she had gotten saved maybe a couple of weeks before or something like that. But she was watching a movie about Jesus on her phone. And she said, I watched that movie about Jesus, and then I watched another one. And she said, I had to get to Pastor Freddie's church. And Pastor Freddie's church is on the nursing home compound. So she went and found the pastor of the nursing home, and she got saved. And she was worried about her sons. And they stood there. And Mark starts in Genesis. When he gives the salvation message, he starts in Genesis and goes all the way through the Bible. And and so they stand there and they listen, and they're very respectful. And her two sons were saved that day also. And then the one lady that I told you that I had a story about, that was after the ladies' conference. You might see her in a minute. Mark's standing by her. She has a green shirt on. We were at our last house, and it was right behind the seminary. And we were talking to these ladies, and these ladies were just assuring us that you know, they had faith and they had salvation. It was kind of weird, though. It was just a little bit weird. And so this girl comes walking up, and she comes and sits on the porch with this other little lady, and she said, I don't even live close to this house. Something told me to come to this house. She came to that house. She came to church that next day, and she said in the first song, we were singing Goodness of God, Teresa, Goodness of God. The first song, the Holy Spirit just started dealing with her, and she is bawling. She is bawling. She said, and after she was on that porch, she said, I opened my phone to Facebook for the first time in months and months and months, like 8 months. She said, there was a picture of Jesus, and he's bawling, and he said, I did this for you. So the Lord gives signs to people who do not know, and he gives them dreams. That's what we pray for. So I did have a little mishap while I was there. We were coming in, and right in front of Pastor Freddie's church, John and Greg, you know that tile that's in front of there, and it looks like bathroom tile. It goes on your shower, and you know how slick that is? Well, I come in, and I have my backpack on my back, and I usually don't. I'm usually carrying it like this. Well, Mama, y'all know who Mama is. Mama was standing over there, and I was going, hey, Mama! And I hit that water. They had the sprinklers on, and I hit that water, and I went straight back. If it hadn't been for my backpack being on me, I would have burst my head, broke my back, or something. So the Lord protected me in my ignorance of not watching. But I had these shoes on, and they're slick. They are slick. So But anyways, let's see what else I got here. I know. My wow moments were those two ladies that came to the Lord, and they had seen something, and then the Holy Spirit just drawing them. That was my wow moments. But we had a wonderful time, and I love all these people up here. So I'm done.
You done, Char? All right. I just want to start by, that was all good. I just want to start by giving God the glory. I've been on a few mission trips, but this one, I think, topped them all. And it was just because of the number of the people that gave their hearts to Jesus. I mean, how can you top that no matter what? Let me back up. The first thing I wanted to say was I wanted to thank my husband, Lonnie, for staying at home. He lets me go. He funds the trips. He's not interested in going, but he takes care of grandbabies. He cooks. No, he don't. He eats out. But I want to thank you, honey, for allowing me to go. I have been many places as a little White Plains girl, and I get lost in a paper sack. I don't know north from south, east from west, but I'm the most unlikely traveler in the whole world. But thank you, honey. But I want to give God the glory. It was a fabulous trip. But secondly, I want to build up you as believers. I have never felt such prayer support as I did this time. And the support of this church this time was amazing. We could feel it. So you were there. You were there. It wasn't that you weren't there. You were there every step of the way, every word that was said, every house that was visited, every street that was walked. You were there. And then I also want to encourage you, if you're feeling led to go. I mean, go. I said when I got over there, I was the oldest one, and Brother Mark was the oldest man. And he said really fast that Graylin was older than him. So I was the oldest woman, Graylin was the oldest man. But if you feel led to go, I mean, I will stay home. They can only take so many, but I mean, don't give up the opportunity to go because you think it's set in stone of who goes. But everybody's told, it was like a well-oiled machine. I asked Brother Mark if I could go last because I just kind of wanted to recap how well Brother Mark and Char planned things out for us. On Friday, we did that evangelism at Freddie's church and Oswald Baldo's church, and we saw before lunch, both teams, 7 saved. After lunch, they had 4, we had 3. I mean, it was amazing. And then on Saturday, we had VBS. Char had our little crosses and our paint and our plates, and everything was just so amazing. And that was on Saturday. And then on Sunday, she had our crafts. I talked about Hannah and Peninnah, and she had that printed out. I just had to study a little bit about the fact that Peninnah was always criticizing Hannah because Hannah didn't have any children. So we had the kids say, does people ever pick on you? Do they criticize you? And we had a smiley face over here and a sad face. And through the interpreter, I would say, well, if somebody said to you, your hair looks dirty today, would you would you smile or would you be sad? And so and then she taught Jonah there, and then they did a little fish craft, and I did a little smiley face craft for the group I had. And then the eye clinic on Monday, we've touched that completely. I mean, it was amazing, the eye clinic was. And then on Tuesday, we did a little city tour to those forts, and then we had that ladies' conference in the afternoon. And then we had the eye clinic on Wednesday. Let me back up to that VBS. The VBS, Brother Mark was Elijah, and threw his mantle down like a wild man, and then Elisha got a double anointing, and then we all did miracles of Elisha, acted them out. It just flowed like a well-oiled machine, and I'm not going to say all praise and honor, it goes to the Lord, but it was just so well organized. And you just have to be flexible, because there's times that, that it maybe should have went one way, but it totally took a turn and went another way, but, that's okay too. And I guess the wow moment would be one day when we were on visitation, they told our team, Graylin, Sandy, me, and Dennis, to meet them at the end of the road at 3:30. Well, we spent way a long time in this house, and when we come out, we had no more time. And Graylin saw some people sitting up there, and he said, we're going up there. So we went up there, and 3 guys got saved at this little store up on this hill. And then we went down to the curb to wait for them, and Jaji, that's Susie's name, Jaji, her best friend was sitting on the curb, and Jaji said, she's lost. I've been talking to her. So right there on the curb, we were able to see her accept Christ there on the curb of the road, because they were late picking us up. So, that worked out, beautifully. But I just want to end, Sandy. Oh, first I want to say hi to Roxy. Everybody wave at Roxy. This is videoed, and we want Roxy's working, and she couldn't be here tonight, but Sandy's taking care of that, and I'm taking care of this. And this is from the team to Miss Shar. You got to open it, Brother Mark. It has a meaning to it. They were. Yeah.
Y'all are so sweet.
A kettle is like a thermos, but it boils water. And I guess they're tired of my stainless steel coffee pot that I take.
That has to be in my luggage.
So that's
Yeah.
nice. Thank you.
Can I just
You
say
didn't have to-
two more things? I know that a lot of you knew that I was having some health issues before I went to Cuba. And I just want to thank you so much for praying for me, because the day that we left, I was perfectly fine. So I know that it was an attack from Satan, because he knew what we were going to be doing, and he knows what I'm going to be doing now when this coming weekend. And I just want to thank you all so much for that. And I just want to say that our devotion time was one of my favorite times. We cried together, we laughed together, we got deep, we got honest, and the devotion time was just out of this world this year.
Going into Cuba, I feel completely safe. Now, I've been places I've not felt safe, but going into Cuba, I feel completely safe, because part of it is like Jerry Gifford said, these people are in a communist country. They're not going to act up, because look what they're going to face. And so as far as safety, you feel completely safe. Now, I'd say do not eat squid pizza, because I think it messed me up, and it got Brad later on. But I would watch the squid pizza, not very good. But I guess a wow moment for me, I presented the gospel, and it takes me a while, because I don't rush it, because you're dealing with people who are atheistic. You're dealing with people who don't even believe in God. They may never heard the gospel message of Jesus. It's so unlike America. And that's a hard transition, because, you see, we're used to America's hardness and indifference. Well, you go here, these people, they've never heard. And so I'm preaching the gospel, and I've got about 80 people in this room, maybe Brad, and Brad's standing over to the right, and I'm presenting the gospel message, and the invitation is given, and about a third or more stand up to receive Jesus. And I'm sitting there going, did you all hear me right? And I look over at Brad, and Brad's kind of got his mouth dropped open, because it's an amazing response. And I don't want to say it's shooting fish in a barrel, but that's what it seemed like, because everywhere we went, people were responding to the gospel. Now, probably 251 aren't legit, but there was a lot of these people legitimate. At one point, when we had presented the gospel, they were taking names, and they said, now, everybody, we got to have your name because we're going to come visit you in your house. We had people go back and sit down because they didn't want you coming to their house. So it did separate some. But the thing that God has done is you have to realize and acknowledge God has opened a door. We didn't force this door open. I mean, you just hear the story of the book, how it all came about, and we're there. Gabriel sent me a message this morning. He said, I found the lady who was supposed to have been your interpreter but wasn't your interpreter. He was at El Cobre yesterday, and this lady said, I was supposed to interpret, and apparently he had told the story, and she said, I had put down July instead of June. One little difference of a month scheduling like that, if she's the interpreter, nothing happens. It all depended on Gabriel being there. His wife already had the book. Then God does the rest of it. You go in, and sometimes I've been at places, they say, well, where are we going next year? Let's do something different. It's almost like we're doing a tourist thing. Let's go. But when you commit to a place and you do plant seeds, you're seeing results more so this year than ever. The Eyeglasses Clinic is a great ministry. None of us know anything about eyeglasses. We know how to wear them, but we don't know anything about eyeglasses. But lost people who will never come to church showed up because of eyeglasses. They were not offended by the end of the day when they did not have a pair for them because we ran out. I'm sitting in one room with Graylin and Dennis, and I got tickled, and I was moved, but Graylin says something. Graylin about starts crying. He said, you better shut up right now. And Dennis said, I'm not going to say that. So I got two grown men in here weeping and because of what God was doing in the lives of these people. And the whole issue is God's opened a door. And we've seen a response that we've never experienced. And it's a tremendous opportunity. I don't know how long this door is going to be open. Y'all understand that? It may be for a season. But as long as it's open, we need to pour in. And so I encourage you, if you feel like God would have you, what we hope the church will allow next year is we do 2 trips. We do a trip in the spring, we do a trip in the fall. This is 2025. And, you know, everybody on this team said, if somebody new wants to go, we'll sit back and not go. That's what we have to do. But if we do 2 trips, the first trip will host the Bible school. The issue is you can only pack so much stuff in suitcases. And the Bible school material, the craft material takes a lot. And so the second week we would go would be probably October-ish, somewhere in that time. It's going to be outreach, eye clinics, men's conference, ladies' conference. But there will be no Bible school as such. But it's an open door. Who knows if the door will be open next year? I don't know. It may be shut by next year. But as long as it's open, we've got to walk through it. Now, safety. I believe it's completely safe. They take care of you. They pamper you. Now, our hotel room costs each of us $15 a night. I wouldn't want to stay at a $15 a night place in America. But over there, that was top notch. You never had any issues. They pick you up, they take you, they get you to where we're supposed to be to eat. They move us here to move us there. Everywhere was done punctually on time. And but the fear factor, I don't have a fear factor there. You stay together. It's just not there. But the opportunity's there. So I'm trying to say. So if God speaks to you between now and whenever, let us know, because as we start planning now for next year, we need to start getting things. You do have to walk. That's a given. You're going to have to be able to walk and do a little bit. It was not as hot this time as it was last October when we were there in October. And October wasn't as hot as it was when I was there in June. But you're walking. We don't throw anybody under the bus but Lana. And so, you know, when you go up to, if you're on my team, you're a prayer supporter. And, you know, and I'll start in Genesis, because these people are atheistic. These people are communist. I don't know what they've ever heard. And so I start with Genesis, in the beginning God. And so we move on from there. But here's what we left with. I said, what needs do you have that we could help you with? And Freddie just blew us away. That girl called Sashi, that they're talking about? Susie, Sashi, Jaji, take your pick. All right, it don't matter. Freddie, I did not know who it was. He said, if I could have somebody who could work with our children, it seemed like we get somebody working with our kids and they're gone. He said, if we could pay them $10 a month, that would take care of everything. Now, can you imagine saying, I need $10 a month to be full-time children's minister? $10 a month. I said, well, we can do better than $10 a month. And so we said, yeah. So we're going to give her $20 a month, and in 6 months, if she's still doing it, we'll give her $25. I mean, she's a beautician, I think, and she can still do a few, whatever they do. But, I mean, you think about this. Here's what's the sad thing is, we wouldn't even pray about $320 a year, would we? But they don't have that. And so I'd had money I'd given them, left them before for an MTMI thing, and I said, take money out of that, and I'll bring it back to you later. But that's what, so anyway, if you want to help support Sashi at $20 a month, that's one of the needs. They need powdered milk. Now, they can buy it there, but they can't buy it all the time. And we can carry in powdered milk, but powdered milk weighs a lot. We each carried in probably 4 or 5 bags. And if you're going to get pulled over, they're going to look at the powdered milk, and they're going to test it and see if you've got that other stuff. But, if you want to give $5, you can help buy powdered milk for them. They need Spanish Bibles. They cannot buy them there. A Spanish Bible is about $5. They need about 10 of them. They need construction paper, glue sticks, markers, probably $150 to take care of all that, for crafts, for Sunday school. They asked, could you all get us some material so when the girls who are leading in worship, we could make their outfits coordinate? I mean, do you understand what I'm saying, how the basic this is? They can get nothing. The basic. Now, Freddie told me, he said, we have material. There's one store, but, and it's easier for us to give them the money than us to pack in a bolt of material. I said, well, what do you need? They said, we really need a freezer because we've got kids that show up on Sunday, it's not 8, and we would like to have some fruit that we could give to them because they've not ate. It's $500. One of them said, we could use a smart TV for our worship service because that way we can project on a screen the words, the music, kind of like what we do. None of that's within the reach. I mean, when you're talking $500, you're talking about over a year's income. When you're talking $500 for a freezer, they don't have it. So those are some basic needs that they said, this is what we need. So we'll help you. We'll see what we can do. It's going up. I mean, this trip costs more than they expected because fuel goes up. And if you can't buy it through the regular places, they have to buy it on the black market, just like the food. But it shocks me that you go to this restaurant and what you'd have spent a $45 meal here, they said, oh, that was probably $5. So, but...
I felt really bad one time when we were talking about how much we pay for dog food.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell them. I mean, we were talking about how much we pay for dog food, and then I felt really bad that we were talking about
the conversation in the back of the bus was somebody said, my dog eats $140 a month. They fed blah, 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 blah. And you got to think about this. We're feeding our dogs $140 dog food a month, and they're living on $35. And so, and they never said a word. They just laughed and took part in the conversation. But anyway, there's an open door. And if we can walk through it while we can walk through it, I believe we need to. But if God puts it on your heart, if you sense you need to go. And Roxanne shares it really well. She said, God poked her in the ribs. Dennis got slapped in the back of the head. But if you hear Roxanne's testimony, after she obeyed God on this, she said, God's not stopped talking to her. That's a powerful statement when God's not stopped talking to you. But, man, I thank you all for letting us go. I thank you for supporting. I hope the next time we can go, we can give you more how to pray specifically, because some of these are afterthoughts. And, the prayer is so crucial to undergird. And some people can't go, some people can help others go, some people can support by sending or allowing us to take in different things. But man, we all receive the same reward, because some people have to stay home with the stuff, and some people have to go into the area. But man, God's going to say we're all getting blessed equally because you're a part. And so we thank you for being a part. And if you feel like God is speaking to your heart at any point, speak, because we can only take 8 people at a time. They just don't have transportation to carry us beyond 8. Because when we put us 8 in a van, you're going to have another 6 Cubans in the van too at some point, maybe 7, because they keep filling it up. And the least we could take would be a team of 6 to do the eye clinic, because it takes that much in getting people through there. So anyway, anybody got any questions? I know it's getting late. Yes. Did what? Not a bit. I've never been hassled by the government. I've been hassled in all kinds of airports. Thank goodness they're picking on dentists now. And but the last time, the only hassle we got, it wasn't a hassle, was a soldier stopped the van and said, "I need a ride." And he said, "This is Americans in there." And he backed up. He won't ride. They will not ride with Americans. So, but the government, there's never been a hassle. Anybody else? Yes, that's their intent, to do 2 eye clinics next year. That means we need 4 cases of eyeglasses. Plus, we left the glass measuring tools with Freddie and Osvaldo so they could have their own church family measure what they need. That way, it saves us time at the eye clinic. We're dealing with lost people, unchurched people, but we may have to take an additional 200 pair of glasses, hopefully to fit the church family, so we can expedite the whole process. These eyeglasses that we get cost $1.10 in this bulk. They're all black horn-rimmed glasses. You cannot select the sizes, though. That's the only issue, so we may have to do something with sizes once we find out what we need. And that might be an option where we say, okay, I need everybody to bring size 4s. And then next week, we need you to bring a size 2.5. But anyway, any other questions? All right, we've got children's teachers in the back I've been whispered to that's probably panicking, so we will pray. Father, thank you for allowing us to be here tonight to share. I hope, Father, we've been able to impart some of what you did for us. I hope, God, you give excitement. Father, I pray you speak to people. Lord, nothing like being in the center of your will. And, Father, I pray that you help us as Grapevine to see it. And, Father, let us see harvest areas. Hopefully at Grapevine, God, but if not here, Lord, somewhere in the world, help us to be a part. In Jesus' name, amen.